far off.
I'll get you heavy one. There must be a big one in there.
You're up in there in a minute, come on.
What?
What are you doing?
Yay!
You're up in that keep net. What you like this big, don't you? Nick's new postcode, Bonsai 35. You like it? 40. 46.8.
Hello, mate. You've got what?
I've had a lovely day's fishing. 43.13. Not for a long while. What was that? Whoever come first, not for a long while. So back to Lindo for a Saturday match. Just after the festival this match was, and I drew peg 35. We were all on the Bonsai. Quite a windy day, to be honest with you. And I drew 35, which I've drawn a few times this year and done really well. Won the match every time I've been on it. Just fishing up to the method feeder up to the point. However, there's a bit of a snag in the peg. And I anticipated, as the last time I drew it, previous, I lost quite a few fish and a few method feeders on the snag. I'm convinced it's an old sedge. There used to be a bit of a sedge hanging off the point, and it's almost as if it's broken away and fallen down the shelf a bit. So you're sinking your line, and then you're hooking a fish, and your line's getting caught around the sedge that's maybe about 2 metres off the bank, and you're actually pulling the fish back into the sedge, and that's why you're losing them. So I anticipated losing a few fish and a few feeders, and my other plan was to fish caster, maybe 3/4 of the way across, caster shallow, and a bit of an edge line to my right. I've got a lovely edge line to my right, but my main aim was to catch on the method feeder. So I started on that with the intentions to get a good run of fish early on, hopefully build my shallow line up, catch on that. But to be honest with you, the wind picked up to the extent where I couldn't really fish shallow properly. Only if I maybe fished 6-7 sections out, I might have been able to catch shallow, but it's not far enough over. On that peg, they just don't seem to want to feed shallow at that point, at that distance. You need to be like 2/3 of the way across if you are going to catch shallow, and it's not been really a good peg for catching shallow this year. So my main aim was to try and catch on the method feeder, build up my edge line, and hopefully catch a few later on down the edge if my method line wasn't strong in the last hour. As it happened, that I caught really well in the last hour, where I didn't really have time to pick my edge rig up. So, you know, I didn't want to come off my line because I was feeding it, I was catching fish, I was in a rhythm, and I ended up having a good day's fishing. The interesting thing was, I didn't lose any fish. I didn't lose any feeders. I lost the odd fish, which is inevitable, because you're fishing up to a point and the fish are coming around from the larger bay from pegs 70 and 69 to feed on the point and then wanting to go back in that direction. So I've had a few fish where I've managed to hook into them, get some line onto my reel, but then they've took me around the point. And that's a lot of the reasons why I hold my rod in these kind of like pegs, because it allows me, even if I'm feeding down the edge, to react quick when I get a bite, as opposed to having the rod on a rest, doing other things. Let's say feeding down the edge, look round, your rod's bent double. By that time the fish is on the run, you go to pick up and you haven't got in control of the fish quick enough, and either break you or you lose them or you lose a feeder. And how I fish it, I just seem to land a lot more fish for that reason. But what I did was, I kind of like figured this out. When I drew my peg, I was, I was getting ready. I was thinking, how can I avoid snagging up? So what I did was I actually put Vaseline on my main line. And what this did was I was landing my feeder at the spot next to the island, but I wasn't sinking my line, which meant that the line is immediately coming straight up onto the surface, which helped no end. I never snagged up, which meant that my main line, coming back from my feeder towards my quiver tip, wasn't sinking underneath the water and wasn't getting caught on the snag. And this helped no end. It definitely helped me catch a lot more fish. So I ended up having a really good day. All I've done is I've used green swim stim and marine halibut equal quantities. I've used a 9-foot Beastmaster, Shimano Beastmaster 911 CX commercial rod, 016 hook length, 18 hooks, single and double maggot. I've had a few fish on the pellet as well, 6mm pellet, and I've caught really steady. And I've ended up with £179, which has come second in the match. Ryan Law won the match from peg 6. Great angler, fishing really well, catching a lot of fish this year. Fishing cast shallow with a jigger and a fixed rig. The right peg, a good peg on a good angler on a good peg. The right peg to suit his approach. And he's had £195. And in all honesty, I could have easily won it with the fish I've lost, but it's a percentage game. I was always going to lose the odd fish on that peg. So I come second in the match, £179. Great day's fishing. Really enjoyed it.